The number one feeling that we feel when our life begins to change, or we begin to have feedback from our environment that what we're doing inside of us is producing an effect outside of us, the most common emotion that we feel is a love for life, a joy for existence, grateful, a real deep sense of gratitude. Now think about the emotional signature of gratitude. The emotional signature of gratitude means that something has already happened. When you receive something, or when you're given something, or you are in the process of receiving or have received it, you give thanks. So the moment you start feeling this emotion of appreciation and thankfulness, you will automatically say thank you, which means I've just received something. I'm acknowledging that I'm receiving it from you. So most people live their lives waiting for something outside of them to change how they feel inside of them. They're waiting for their new relationship. They're waiting for their new job. They're waiting for their new mystical moment to occur before they feel the emotions. So basically, they're spending the majority of their time waiting and not creating, living in lack, living in emptiness, living in fear, waiting for that external event to take away their emptiness or pain. That's the Newtonian model of reality, of cause and effect. Turns out, though, the moment you're feeling that lack, you tend to try harder and force and control and try to predict or manipulate the outer world, because you're doing everything you can, because you're experiencing a separation or polarity from what you want. You're waiting for it to happen and not creating. So then, two things. When you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, a heart-centered emotion, not the emotions of survival that are anger and hostility and aggression and competition or hatred or envy or jealousy or insecurity or fear or anxiety or pain or suffering or guilt or shame, those are derived from the hormones of stress. An elevated emotion is a heart-centered emotion. And a heart-centered emotion lacks polarity. This is the center of oneness. This is the center of wholeness. This is the union of opposites. This is our connection, our bridge to the quantum field. This is where we connect. So think about it. When you begin to feel a heart-centered emotion, what you're doing is you're falling in love with your life. So your body is your unconscious mind. It does not know the difference between an experience that creates an emotion and an emotion that you're creating by thought alone. Your body is believing it's living in that future reality in the present moment. Now think about this. The latest research on genes says the environment signals the gene. Well, the end product of an experience in the environment is called an emotion. So when you begin to embrace the emotion ahead of the actual experience, you're signaling the gene ahead of the environment. And now you're beginning to instruct and select new genes that make new proteins. And proteins are responsible for the structure and function of your body. So you're literally becoming your dream. You're literally becoming it. So when you feel that emotion, you tend to be less interested in looking around outside of you of how it's going to happen. If you're walking around conditioning your body every day to feel that emotion, that you're in love with yourself and you're in love with life and you're worthy to receive and you're open and you're inspired and you're optimistic and you're enthusiastic and you're feeling that emotion, you feel like your future has already happened. So you're less likely to feel lack or separation. Now think about this. Point number 2. Once energy makes it to the center and you feel gratitude, that center begins to produce a measurable magnetic field. That's a frequency, that's energy, and all frequency carries information. So now you can lay the thought of your new relationship on that frequency, and now you're broadcasting a whole new electromagnetic signature into the field. So then the longer you're conscious of that energy, the more you're calling your future to you. When this center is opened up, you're connected to the quantum field. So now you don't have to go anywhere to get it, to try to force it or control it or predict it. In fact, you're the magnet. You're collapsing time and space, and the event is being drawn to you, and it comes in synchronicities and serendipities and coincidences, opportunities. Now the antithesis is also true. The moment you feel angry because you're in traffic, the moment you judge your coworker because all of a sudden they push an emotional button, the moment you feel sorry for yourself, victimized or self-pity, you're now emitting a different energy. In fact, you're back to the energy of your past, and you just disconnected from your future. So then people's dreams stay at arm's length from them. So people ask me all the time, well, how come my new relationship hasn't happened? And I tell them the same thing. Take out a piece of paper and write down everything you want in a new relationship, and then become that person. Because the question fundamentally is, would you go out with you? So if the answer is you're starting to love yourself so much that you no longer need another person, or you're no longer in lack, then you magnetize an equal. It just happens as a side effect. And it doesn't happen in ways that you can predict. It happens in different ways. So the emotions of gratitude, appreciation, thankfulness, a love for life, a joy for existence, worthy to receive, inspired and enthusiastic to be alive, looking forward and in excitement and anticipation to the unknown, staying in that energy without analyzing. That's the energy that allows the unknown to begin to occur. So what you're doing is you're teaching your body emotionally what that future feels like. And when you're in a state of gratitude, you're in the perfect state to receive the fruits of your efforts. As many people are at different levels and making different strides in overcoming their health condition. Now, treating with pharmaceuticals or nutraceuticals or treating with external substances to help the body to move back into homeostasis and balance is an assistance, so that the person then can navigate in their life when their stress happens and their body moves out of balance, or they need a substance to keep their blood sugar in order or to keep their brain chemistry balanced. Those are things that the body becomes dependent on. And I always say, please work with a physician and make sure that you're getting regular tests to get feedback to let you know if anything's changing. Now, some people are in denial. I was just talking to a physician this week whose patient's in denial because they're saying, oh, I don't have this condition and I don't want to look at it, and the tests are saying that she obviously does, right? So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being pragmatic. So if you have diabetes, as an example, or you have chronic pain and you've used those drugs to help diminish the pain, your body becomes dependent on that because you're in the same chemical state. So then as you begin to do the work and you begin to change the neurocircuitry, the neurochemistry, the hormones, the energy, and even your genetic expression, as you start changing that, the body goes into flux. There's a reorganization that takes place for a period of time because now you're no longer in the same neurochemical state. So when that occurs, you start noticing that you have new symptoms, or you start noticing that you don't feel well from your medication, or you have an incident, a profound inner event that raises you to a new level of consciousness that you now know on some level you're beginning to heal. We see this all the time. And people say, I don't know what that was, that inner event, that amazing inner experience, that transcendental moment, but something, I felt it in my body. I know my body got a new signal. So now the body's starting to reorganize, right? So when they start to occur, this is where feedback is important. Go to the doctor, and I always say every 3 months. If you're doing the work consistently, look at the measurements. Look at what your measurements are. And when you're finishing your meditation and you lay down, and let's just say your normal blood value should be 100 and you're at 500. And so then when you lay down and you surrender, you just hold 400 in your mind and just let the divine get a good look at that and just surrender it and say, this is my new value. And people start getting super creative in the process. They start to move the needle. So many people do that, and the doctor says, look, I don't know what you're doing, but I think we should diminish the dosage or cut the dosage in half because we've had some really significant changes. I don't know what you're doing, but don't stop doing it because it's working. So I'm more concerned with a methodical, practical approach, step by step, for a person to make their way. Now, in the moment the body moves out of the past, the moment we begin to interact with the field, the moment there's a biological upgrade, the moment now the person is conditioning their body emotionally to the future and rewiring their brain, and they're moving into a new state of being. When they start noticing a change in their symptoms as well, that's an important feedback mechanism. Like, hey, my pain's gone. Hey, I'm sleeping through the night. Hey, that sore that I've had on my hand that's been there for 3 months is gone. Hey, I'm seeing better. Like, I'm seeing better, or I'm hearing better. Mm-hmm. Then when you get that kind of physiological change, that's just not staying the same every day, because chemistry just kind of keeps us the same. Chronic conditions, treating with chemistry, is keeping us regulated into the same state. So the person is regulating new states, they're self-regulating. And over time their body starts reorganizing and changing. It makes sense then that if you do that on a regular basis and you start noticing changes in your body, your most immediate feedback. Hey, I ate that food and I didn't have any of this or any of that. Mm-hmm. Something's changing. Now you know, once that occurs, this is the defining moment. Once that occurs, I know it happened to me with my injury. The moment I started noticing changes in my body after 6.5 weeks of hell, of just feeling like I wasn't getting anywhere. The moment I noticed that pain going away and I could feel my feet differently, that was it. Then I knew that it was going to make a difference. And it's kind of a funny moment. Because the moment that happens, you're no longer dreading it and saying, I can't do this, it's not working, it's too hard, I'm bad. The moment you notice that change, all of a sudden you're like, let's go, I'm going to do it again. Now you're looking forward to do it. It's no longer torture. You're just like, your energy's changed, right? That's all you need. So I've learned then to actually create that state before I start noticing those changes, because my body's going, what's going on? He's acting as if he's healed. He's walking as if it's already happened.